Hello guys and welcome back to another FPL video. My name is Edwin Meerkat and today I've got my Gameweek 7 team selection for you guys. But before I get into that team, let's have a look how the team did in Gameweek 6. And it was a phenomenal game week. One of the best game weeks I've had in recent memory. 86 points, which is a pretty good score anyway, but in a game week like this, it was absolutely massive. It gave me a green arrow from about 2.8 million there to just inside the top 700k. I gained over 2 million in rank just from this one game week, and these are the kind of game weeks that make me love playing FPL the way I do. I play it a little bit differently than a lot of other people, and these are the kind of reasons why I like playing the way that I do, because it feels so amazing when it goes so right. And it's been quite a bad game week for a lot of managers, especially those of you who might have wildcarded. I did indeed make 4 transfers this game week, and none of the players that I transferred in returned. They all blanked. And yet I've had an amazing game week. It was a ridiculous one. And let's not beat around the bush here. The main reason for it was the main man, Cole Palmer, getting 25 goals. 25 goals? 25 points. My gosh, no, not 25 goals. He got 4 goals to get 25 points. And to be honest, if you've seen the highlights, he could have had a lot more as well. Absolutely ridiculous performance from Palmer. Really happy to have him in my team, and that's kind of why I have him in my team, right? We just know he's this explosive asset, a lot like Haaland. He can get these huge hauls that I don't really think any other player in the game can get. Just incredibly punishing on teams. And yeah, if Brighton were, in my opinion, maybe the Brighton analysts know more than me, but in my opinion, Brighton looked incredibly stubborn, trying to consistently play the way that they did, a high line with 2 pretty slow centre-backs against Chelsea, who are arguably the fastest team, the fastest breaking team in the league. Just seemed a bit ridiculous to me, and Palmer absolutely feasted in that game. I don't know if he will replicate that anytime throughout the season. I think that will probably be his highest score of the season, but he's shown what he's about in terms of the returns he can get. He's just an absolute chance magnet. So I had to dedicate a section to talking about Palmer because he's the reason why I've got the green arrow. The second reason was I captained Bumo. And to be honest, I couldn't really go too wrong apart from Saka in terms of my captaincy picks. I was picking between 5 players and they all, Bumo was close, but they all got double digits pretty much apart from Saka. So yeah, I couldn't really go wrong. I did pick Bumo because I looked at the analysis. I thought Brentford would give centrally, they concede a lot centrally, West Ham, and I thought Bumo would be taking up more of those central positions. Now Visser is out the team, and what do you know, he scored in the first minute of the game. I was driving in the car when I heard it. I absolutely screamed. I was like, get in. Haaland's just blanked, and now I've got a captaincy return. This is the week where it turns around. And yeah, it was pretty good. He didn't really do much else for the rest of the game, although I heard that he could have had a penalty shout, which would have been massive for my team. But yeah, really happy with the captaincy there. Salah, who was the other alternative, did end up getting 10 points, which I think, if you watch that performance, was very generous. He scored a penalty and he got full bonus, I believe, from just scoring the penalty. Very fortunate that the other goals came from defenders and they got their bonus cleaned out because of because of conceding goals. So yeah, really happy with Salah there as well. Watkins getting a double-digit haul as well, goal and assist. It was against Ipswich, really nice. Rodgers accompanying really nicely. I know it's easy to say this in hindsight, but I saw a lot of people benching Rodgers this week against Ipswich. That really had disaster written all over it. I would have done everything in my power to play Rodgers in that game. Yeah, really happy with him getting a goal there. And to make it an even better game week, only 2 teams kept a clean sheet, and I owned one of them with Robinson. Really happy that I just stuck him around and played him this week, getting 7 points. A really useful little set of points to just tip me over even more than I already had. So despite the absolute shambles there on the bench, it was a massive game week. Despite transferring in Raya, who blanked, conceded. Gabriel also blanked, he conceded. Again, Arsenal were quite unlucky to concede twice, given how little XG they put up and how few shots Leicester indeed had. Some cracking goals, by the way, from Justin. What a player. And then the other player was Chris Wood, for a 2-pointer. Little frustrating, as the other player I was looking at was Jimenez, who did return, but he's got far worse fixtures coming up. I got Wood because I prefer the fixtures coming up, basically, and I didn't really like the look of Calvert-Lewin or Vardy at that price point as well. Thought about Nketiah as well, but I'm not really sold on him as a pick at the moment. Chris Wood, I think, is quite a reliable player to have there. Very surprising that I knew that Forest would not create as much with Gibbs White out of the team. He will obviously come back in next week, but really weird formation, to be honest. I think for Forest, they didn't really have a backup plan for Gibbs White being out. From the looks of it, I think they benched Hudson-Odoi again, which is really bizarre. But yeah, I'm pleased to still have Wood in the team there. So yeah, just super ecstatic with this team. Obviously, because it was quite a poor game week, the green arrow is massive. Up into the top 700k, and yeah, I feel like I'm rejuvenated with the game and happy that I'm still playing differently. Now, this is the big dilemma I have. Obviously, the plan was to get in Haaland this week. So let's have a look at the Gameweek 7 team, which obviously at the moment doesn't have Haaland in. And if I wasn't going to have Haaland, I'd captain Saka. I'm fairly confident on that. Bumo, still a nice option against Wolves. Wolves do seem a bit defensively frail on that right wing. He's definitely still in my thoughts. Salah against Palace, also a really nice option. Palmer against Forest looks nice, but to be honest, I back the Forest defence quite heavily. They don't really seem to get, they don't seem to concede a lot of hauls. They don't concede masses of goals. So I think Palmer will return in that game, but I don't think it will be huge. Whereas Saka is playing Southampton, who I think there is absolute haul potential there for Saka. Against Southampton. The Southampton defence just looked really poor. Really happy having double Arsenal defence as well for that game. Trent and Wood as well. I've mentioned I'm all right with for the Chelsea game. So I've got two options this game week, which is nice to have little options to choose from. The first is to roll, obviously. I think the team looks really good again this week. The main thing is Watkins and Rodgers. Mainly Watkins, because it'd be him I'm getting rid of. Man United really don't look like a great team at the moment. I think selling Watkins home before home at United could be a really bad idea. He could haul in that game potentially. And getting rid of him for a hit as well, bear in mind. I do only have one free transfer and 0.2 in the bank, so it would have to be a double move. Just doesn't seem massively worth it in my eyes. Haaland against Fulham at home, I think, is a great fixture. I think if you've got Haaland, you should captain him. I'm just looking at it in the context of, is it worth taking the hit to do that and removing two potentially great players, or can I wait one more week to get in Haaland? Because Watkins, I've actually forgotten what fixture he has next, Watkins, but I know it's not as great. And Salah has Chelsea next, which isn't a great fixture as well. So I could do Palmer and Watkins to get in Haaland. That is a possibility. But I believe it only leaves me with 4.7 million in the bank, which is not a great amount of money. It would mean I'd have to get basically a bench player, and then I'd have an even worse bench than I've already got. So that just doesn't seem like a great plan to me. The only moves that I'd make, and this is definitively the moves I'd make, by the way, is Watkins up to Haaland, of course. Salah would have to make way to make up the funds, and it would be getting in Johnson. I think Johnson is probably the best pick at that price point. It gives me 6.5 million to get in a midfielder if I get rid of Salah. And I think Johnson is my best bet. He looks pretty sure for minutes in that Tottenham side. They're playing Brighton next, who could do the same thing they did against Chelsea, to be honest. And he could absolutely go off in that game. The other one I've looked at is Dwight McNeil, who is a little bit cheaper. I might get priced out of Johnson, so I'd go to McNeil instead, who I've really liked, and the fixtures are looking great for Everton. And yeah, he just seems to really have found himself in this 10 position. Talked him up last week. Obviously, he popped off in that Crystal Palace game, but yeah, it's an interesting one. The only thing I'm not liking about this team, as you probably have noticed, is I'm having to start Faze. Which is not great. I don't really want to be starting a lesser defender. They have looked like one of, if not the worst defence in the league so far. And even though it's a home game against Bournemouth, I have no faith in them keeping a clean sheet. Nedeljkovic hasn't got any starts, so I can't play him. And Robinson's away at City. Like, I don't think I wouldn't be in my right mind if I played a defender away at City for a player who isn't Trent or Gabriel. I don't think it's right playing Robinson, to be honest. So yeah, FaZe is in the team there, which isn't great. But yeah, it is a real dilemma. Please let me know in the comments what you think I should do. Should I? So the two options you've got is I roll. I roll. I just stick with the team as it is. I'm going to captain Saka. Or do I go Watkins to Haaland, Salah to Johnson, and I'd captain Haaland. So the thing I'm weighing up, and by the way, I'd probably make these moves next week anyway. I might go for McNeil instead of Johnson. I'll see how I feel next game week. But I will probably make the same moves for free next game week. Haaland will be in game week 8 no matter what. It's just whether I hold on for one more week. Do I think that Watkins, Salah, and obviously another Saka because I'm captaining him. So Watkins, Salah, Saka, does that outscore 2 Haalands and a Johnson? That's basically the dilemma I've got right now. Because Haaland is essentially the price of 2 premiums, or 1.5 premiums, you'd basically say. So it is a real dilemma. The other dilemma is Palmer. His fixtures are going to get a lot tougher. I am debating selling Palmer in game week 8 for Son. Because Son's fixtures are going to get really good. He did unfortunately miss out of a knock, so I will have to see whether he is fit or not. Not too sure about going with Johnson and Son. I don't know if I back the Spurs attack that much. But yeah, those are my 2 moves that I've suggested for this game week that I could do, either rolling or making the 2 transfers to get in Haaland. Let me know what you think I should be doing with those, because it is a real dilemma. And obviously, if Haaland blanks again, I'm very certain that Haaland will not blank this game week. But if he does, and I get a captaincy return, I'm looking at another massive green arrow. And that is really tempting. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one for me this upcoming game week. But moving on to the mini league team of the game week, and we have the exact same score again with 108. This time it is Bold Hag with Pancreas FC with 108 points. Game week rank inside the top 5k. Amazing that we get these brilliant teams on the channel now with so many people in the league. Obviously, if you're going to be top of the mini league, of course he captained Palmer. There is no other way about it. A player getting that high of a score, captaining him was always going to be the top score. But look at the front line. Gordon with a return, Bumo with a return, Jota with 2 assists getting a return, Watkins with a double-digit haul, and Solanke getting a goal as well. Solanke is another player who I haven't really given much thought, but maybe I should be considering him. I just don't know how I'd get him in my current setup. Even got, I think, Son auto sub there. I think he got one of his defenders on. It could have been Robinson, actually, but I don't know. It might have been Robinson coming off the bench. But yeah, nice returns as well there. Had both of the teams that got a clean sheet. So really, really fortunate there, but very well played here from Bold Hag, getting the top score in the mini league. And just a quick showing of the leaderboard. It is exactly the same still, just the gold medals there. None of the gold medalists have got even another top 20 finish. So yeah, it's still looking, it's still a, a 7-way tie for first place right now. So yeah, it is anyone's game for the winner of the Team of the Game Week leaderboard. And that's going to wrap it up for this video, guys. I hope you've enjoyed. Please like and subscribe if you're enjoying this kind of content. Let me know, please, about what kind of moves you think I should make. Is Haaland an absolute necessity this game week? Am I being crazy for even considering it? Or do you think the likes of Watkins and Salah can neutralise the damage that Haaland is about to cause me this game week? I do think he will score, but I'm hoping maybe a brace at most. But to be honest, if I think he's going to brace, why wouldn't I just bring in and captain him if I'm having doubts about anyone else? But anyway, that's how the team looks. I hope you've all enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next FPL video.